Face masks, aren't they divisive? Here's a guy who's going to answer this question. Rod Little, my favourite columnist. Hello, Rod.
Hiya, mate. How you doing?
Yeah, I'm good. I read your piece of the Sunday Times. You're on the kind of side of face masks. I'll tell you why I wear face masks, for one reason alone. It seems to upset people if you don't. So if I'm on public transport or if I go into a shop, I'll put the damn thing on just to keep people happy. I'm not sure they do any good at all, but if that's what people want, I'm not going to die on a hill about it. But you wrote about all these people who will die on a hill about it. Why are they so worked up about it, do you think?
I don't know. It's a kind of right-left split in a very small proportion. It is still a very small proportion of people on the right of the political spectrum think that this is all to do with control and big government. And if you go to the wilder shores of the argument, kind of one world government and an insidious means of keeping a population obedient. I just don't see it like that. I mean, there's an organisation called Keep Britain Free, for example, which refers to face masks as muzzles, and insists that they are of no use whatsoever, and that they will not wear them because we're British and we're proud and we won't go along with that kind of stuff. And you see, I'm not terribly different to you, mate, in that I think they probably are of some use. And I think that because the majority intends this thing, even if we were told the opposite 4 months ago. And I suspect we were told the opposite 4 months ago because the government didn't have enough PPE stocks for the frontline staff. That's why I wear it.
Yeah, I think you've also got the same as me. I think there's a dynamic in a lot of marriages. The husband probably won't wear a mask, but the wife always tells the husband to wear a mask. So you put the damn thing on.
Oh, it's the other way round.
Oh, is it? Is it?
Yeah. My wife is very lovely, but makes me look like Nick Clegg when it comes to politics.
I'd like to meet her.
Yeah, well, indeed. She thinks that the COVID is overrated. It's a ghastly mess that it's a fault of the government and that we shouldn't wear masks and that we should be allowed to do what we want, etc., etc. There's a very heavy debate going on in this house, which was still ongoing just before I started talking to you, in fact.
Yeah. Well, there's a heavy debate in my household, only it's the other way round. I'm with your wife, and my wife is with you. I do think this has now become a kind of insanity. It was revealed today that COVID-19 is the 8th or the 9th most common cause of death in this country at the moment. There are 8 conditions that are more deadly than COVID. For the past month, 5 times more people per day have been dying of traditional summer flu than COVID-19. You do have to ask the question, why is this government so obsessed on the 9th most deadly disease in this country?
Well, except it's not just this government, is it? It's with the exception of Sweden, pretty much every government in the world. I mean, there is a kind of, it may be a world madness. You may be quite right. We'll find out in a few years' time.
Yeah.
I dare say. But you know, comparing the death rates at the moment, that's because we had lockdown, because we put it all into effect. Back in April, the virus was easily the commonest cause of death in this country for a while.
Yeah, no, Rod, I was very, very worried. I'm sure you were and everybody was when we were losing 1,000 people a day. That sounded to me like a catastrophe, but it's been going down ever since. I think the last figures a couple of days ago, 1 person died of it. I think at the weekend, 4, and then Monday, 3. I mean, these are vanishingly small numbers. People go, oh, every death is worth more than the economy. That's not true. It's about time the government started changing its emphasis, I would have thought, and worrying about the economy, which is dying on its backside before our very eyes, and stop obsessing on getting rid of every single trace of this not particularly damaging virus.
No, I can see that point, and I can see that point particularly now, and I certainly wouldn't want to be put in the awful position of having to defend the government, which I think has got almost everything wrong.
Yep.
You know, I wouldn't have opened the pubs, much though I love going to the pub. I would have got the kids back to school. And that would have been day one. And I think all the kids should have been having virtual lessons all the way through March and April, and they should have sat their exams, much as they did in Germany.
Yeah.
So I think the government was slow to close our borders, terribly slow to close our borders. And it was a bit slow to impose lockdown. So I don't think the government's handled it particularly well. And Boris, for various reasons, either holidaying or incapacitation, has been almost entirely absent. It's been very directionless. And I think you're probably right that we do need to get back to work now. And I think the first way to do that is to get the kids back to school.
Yes. You wrote in the Spectator this week, Jacinda Ardern, the heroic leader of New Zealand, this woman, the inspirational woman that every other leader in the world is trying to follow. She strikes me as a nutcase. I mean, they had 4 cases, not deaths, 4 cases arose in New Zealand last week. She locked the whole country down and people were rioting in the supermarkets to get hold of some food for 4 cases. She's not so great, is she, Jacinda? She's a nutcase.
Jacinda, she's incredible. She gets no criticism whatsoever for anything. It's remarkable. The most fascinating thing were those 2 headlines from The Guardian when Donald Trump, a month or so back, said that he might need to delay the American elections. The Guardian said he was an autocrat and borderline fascist. When Jacinda Ardern announced that she was delaying the elections in New Zealand, they said it showed magnanimity and conciliation. You cannot make this stuff up. And I quote from The Guardian. I read The Guardian says that you don't have to.
Yeah, thank you very much. I appreciate that, mate, because I can't even get myself to open the damn thing.
No, it's difficult sometimes.
You take one look at the front page, and if you're able to stay awake, you're certainly not going to look at page 2.
That's exactly right. Yes, that's exactly right.
So Jacinda, she's closed down New Zealand, and we seem to be threatening to do the same. I want to move on to the other stuff that you wrote about in your excellent column in the Spectator this week, and this is the widening chasm between what the ordinary people of Britain think about things like Black Lives Matter and wokeism, and what our institutions, our government, our organisations, our companies do. There's a companies are sort of saying Black Lives Matter. If you watch ITV at the moment, I mean, every 3 minutes, so Black Lives Matter, Black Week on ITV. That's not what the people of the country are thinking, is it?
No, it's not. I don't think it's what the black people of the country are thinking either. I mean, it is a bit chilling. There was a time about 6 weeks ago when it was genuinely difficult to write anything, even in a right-wing magazine or newspaper, which was remotely critical of Black Lives Matter. It would just be stricken out of your copy. It was impossible to suggest that George Floyd, who was killed by the policeman in Minnesota, it was impossible to suggest that perhaps this man wasn't entirely deserving of the commemorations which were made.
It was a very, actually, Rod, you're being unfair. I hear he was a very benevolent bank robber.
He was a benevolent. Do you know? That is one of the phrases I put in 3 articles. The gentle armed robber, George Floyd. Taken out every time. You couldn't say anything about him. And it's still going on. But there's also something very dangerous about this, because we're getting a lack of reporting from the misery and chaos of American cities at the moment, where Black Lives Matter are on the rampage in Portland, for example, and in New York, where white people are getting beaten up by Black Lives Matter protesters. We're just not getting that reported properly at the moment, partly, I guess, because of lockdown and COVID, but partly also because I think there's a reluctance to do anything which displays BLM as anything other than being a benevolent organisation. And I think our football teams are still going to be taking a knee to BLM.
Great synchronicity, by the way, that your two teams, Middlesbrough and Millwall, are the two teams that are now not taking the knee. And as you quite rightly pointed out, if this knee-taking stuff had been going on with crowds at the grounds, you would have found it wouldn't have got a brilliant reception.
No, it would have got a shocking reception. Our institutions are totally out of step with the way that people think. It's true not merely of the government and the media, but also, organisations like Yorkshire Tea, for example, doing their own little bit of virtue signalling, ensuring I will never ever drink Yorkshire Tea again, not that I did very much anyway, and telling people that if they didn't support BLM, they didn't want them to buy their product. I mean, it's virtue signalling at its very, very worst, and it's dangerous because, of course, the underlying message from Black Lives Matter is dismantle capitalism completely and
destroy the nuclear family. That's my favourite.
destroy the nuclear family. Yeah, I don't think we want that.
It's not a vote winner in my view.
No.
And by the way, my favourite afternoon snack has now gone for a Burton, which was a cup of Yorkshire tea and some Ben and Jerry's ice cream. So that's gone.
Yeah, both of those have gone.
I mean, it's terrible. I also want, before you go, Ron, I wanted to compliment.
Ben and Jerry's is awful.
Yeah.
I mean, it's awful. Haagen-Dazs has always been better. But anyway,
it was a very good week for Haagen-Dazs, I think. I was going to say, I've already stolen your brilliant nickname for Greta Thunberg, the Doom Goblin. I stole it. I've already used it on the radio. So thanks.
I think I've nicked it as well. I don't know where it came from.
It's good though. It is good.
It's a good one.
But there, she's cropped up again. You've stolen my childhood. Well, why don't you have a childhood? Go to school. Go out to play or something. Stop lecturing us. But she's cropped up again. She's risen her. I was about to say ugly head. That's probably a little on. Risen her head again to berate us about the real emergency facing this world, which is of course the non-emergency, the climate change situation. Yeah. Why doesn't she and Extinction Rebellion realise that we actually have got a real emergency now? So they're old news. Go away. We don't want to hear from them, do we?
I don't think we do. That being said, I'm probably a bit different for you on climate change. I think there is man-made climate change. I don't think it's probably as pressing as some people suggest it is.
No, I think it's around. I just don't think it's an emergency.
But it's around. It'll be interesting to see as well, and there've been a number of conflicting reports, what effect lockdown had on carbon emissions and so on. And I actually quite like the idea, which was mooted a while ago, that Earth should have a fallow year every few years, where we actually stop going places. Now, it wouldn't impinge upon me at all because I never go anywhere and I don't meet people. So I don't care particularly. But I do think it did seem to be that carbon emissions were down massively during lockdown. And the other thing that happened during lockdown is when I commissioned an opinion poll for this, that actually people preferred their life under lockdown than
some people did.
Their normal life.
Yeah,
quite a lot. It was about 70%.
Really? I mean, I think what was interesting to me is that what you've been writing about is the fact that nothing ever happens in this country without this complete immediate divide. So the strange thing is, it turns out the Remainers are very, very scared for their own health and quiver behind their front doors as soon as there's a slight chance they might catch a virus. Leavers don't give a damn, and they just want to go out and burn their face masks, which is an extraordinary divide. But everything from now on is going to split us down the 48-52 divide.
That's exactly right. It's really interesting the way in which every single issue these days gets co-opted into one side or other's political armory. And so that there is immediately this kind of culture divide. And I guess it's because we don't argue so much anymore about the important things such as income levels, equality, nationalisation. It's all about cultural stuff, such as whether you should wear a mask, whether a man who's transitioned into being a woman is a real woman, and so on and so on. Everything gets co-opted into that argument.
Yes, indeed it does. We've run out of time, Rod. Let's talk again very soon. Always fascinating to chat.